Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. From my perspective, it's good morning anyway. Um, I hope everything's working. Let me just have a quick check on the audio. Yes, there we go. Okay, we appear to be all connected. Today is, as you've been warned in the title, very boring work. Very boring. This is master editing. What we have here is the raw file that has just been recorded straight from the audio booth and then uploaded to my little Google Drive. We're going to be going through and painstakingly checking the timing, deleting all the errors and breaths and that sort of thing. It's a 23-minute chapter, which is pretty long for this book. This is probably going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Yeah, feel free to keep me company with any questions or comments or anything like that you've got. That would be great. Okay, here we go. And I can't hear a thing because this software I'm using is pretty terrible. There we go. But it's great for this job. I'll show you the one thing that this software does that no other software does this easily or this well, and this is why I keep using it despite the fact that it really is quite awful and crashes all the time.
Chapter 20. At the house in Great Portland Street.
Now, here we go. I have a 3-second break between that and the next bit. I go 1, 2, 3. Control T to mute, and then you can just drag this slider for fade out and fade in. No other program I've found has that easily done. You know, it's brilliant.
Chapter 20. At the house in Great Portland Street.
And I remember doing The Island of Dr. Moreau, the first audiobook I made in my home studio. The edits were so hard. They're like in, out, there's no fade, no nothing, because I didn't even know that was a thing back then. If I had this software back then, that book would sound twice as good. Plus, I probably would have put sound effects and stuff on it. But anyway, that's okay. We live and learn, right? Okay, on we go.
For a moment, Kemp sat in silence, staring at the back of the headless figure at the window. Then he started, struck by a thought, rose, took the invisible man's arm, and turned him away from the outlook. Wait.
Not too bad there, Steve. Couldn't hear too many breaths or anything like that. I probably didn't take any during recording.
Away from the outlook.
Oh, here we go. Sniggity Snick says, ever done organic glitching in Audacity? You convert an image to a bitmap and then import it to Audacity, add a sound effect, then export it back as a bitmap. It creates absolutely insane effects. As you can probably tell by my reaction, no, I haven't tried that. That's weird. Convert an image to a bitmap in Audacity? Okay, I'll try that at some point. Wow, maybe we'll include that in a future stream or something. I'll have a look. What does that do? Convert an image to a bitmap? What, you mean just like a JPEG or something like that, a picture, convert it to a bitmap and put it in Audacity? It can read a bitmap, can it? Wow, wild. I have to try this, sorry. I have to know, what does this do? What does this do? Picture, there we go. There's a picture. And we'll copy that to create a little temp work folder. There we go. Now, by convert to bitmap, just mean rename it or change it with something. We'll open it with Paint and we'll save it as a bitmap in there we go, temp bitmap.bitmap. There we go. And then open in Audacity. Love Audacity, by the way, for anyone out there wondering. No, incorrect file type. That's what I thought. I don't know it. Do you have the capabilities to make videos yourself? Sniggity snick. If you do, make a video. Show me what you mean. I'd like to see what you're talking about there. I'm always interested in messing around with sounds and effects and all that sort of stuff. Of course, as you probably guessed. All right, here we go. Back to work.
And turned him away from the outlook. "You're tired," he said. From the outlook. "You're tired," he said. "And while I sit, you walk about." "You're tired," he said. "And while I sit, you walk about."
One sec, I'll find a guide using the newest Audacity. Yeah, that's probably a point too. I don't know if I have the newest version here. Check for updates. There you go, 3.7.5 is available. All right, we can do that in the background while we're working. Whoops. All right, yes, that's all fine. Go ahead. Do your thing. Yes, totally cool. There you go. Oh, was it having a complaint? No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Because I had it open. Okay.
Away from the outlook. "You're tired," he said. "And while I sit, you walk about. Have my chair." He placed himself.
There you go. Nice. I've been talking with a few people about breaths in audiobooks, particularly during this AI debacle that's going on at the moment.
Walk about.
You can hear he breathes there, but I'm happy for him to do that because that's the character breathing in the middle of what he's actually saying. The narrator, you will never hear breathing. Characters, absolutely no problem at all. Import raw data. All right. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that's fine. Okay. What? No. Go away. Import raw data. Desktop. Temp thingy. Bitmap. Okay. Look at that. Wow, that's loud. Okay, let's that was an amazing sound though, wasn't it? Where's there we go. Volume amplify down. Let's anti-amplify that. There we go. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my God. This bit at the start, I know you wanted me to skip the start bit and just go to the interesting stuff in the middle, but this sounds exactly like the opening theme music to a game I used to play back in the day. I bet I can find it. What was it? Aztec Challenge C64. Come on.
Nature's Fresh and begin to win a family trip to the Gold Coast. Yar! Only with Nature's Fresh.
Okay. Oh, more ads. Come on.
That's why we offer a free online preparation course.
I'm going to pay for YouTube Red one of these days. Here we go. Right? Right? Doesn't that sound similar? It's a different note. But it's the same sort of sound, right? It's the old chiptune stuff from the old days. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. I will probably use that effect at some point in the future. I'm always looking for interesting drones, you know. All right.
My chair. He placed himself between Griffin and the nearest window. For a space, Griffin sat.
Okay, that doesn't have to be quite that long. We can trim that back a bit.
Between Griffin and the nearest window. For a space, Griffin sat.
Maybe there's images hidden in their music. Possible. This was like 1986 though, on the old Commodore 64, so I mean, it's still possible, though, right? You never know. We had images. I remember playing Sam Fox strip poker with my friends when I was 11. We thought it was super sexy. It wasn't. It was terrible. But anyway.
Between Griffin and the nearest window. For a space, Griffin sat silent, and then he resumed abruptly.
Okay.
I'd left the Chesiltoe cottage already, he said. Chesiltoe cottage already, he said.
I always trim. All right, you see that little gap there between what the character says and then he said or he spoke or spake or whatever the hell, the writer has decided. I always trim that sound because it makes you sound a bit magical. Makes you sound like you're a better voice actor than you are.
I'd left the Chesiltoe cottage already, he said.
Right? Like you could just switch voices that quickly. I mean, I'm pretty good.
When that happened, it was last December.
But being able to do it like that.
Chesiltoe cottage already, he said.
What's the line? Hang on.
I'd left the Chesiltoe.
Right. I'd left the Chesiltoe cottage already, he said. You could do it, but it's such a jerk in your voice box. It's much easier to just edit it afterwards. Yeah. Cryogy, just a little better than the Sears catalogue in the restroom. Just saying. I mean, true. Should we look up Sam Fox strip poker? Sam Fox strip poker. Let's have a look at some images and you'll see how bad. Look at those graphics. Look at that. We were utterly titillated by those graphics right there. This was the Commodore 64, man. We didn't have any, cool, look at how bitmaps. Bitmap boobies. Anyway, I was 11. We had no graphics. The Commodore 64, my first computer, was so named because it had 64K RAM. This machine next to me has 32 gig RAM. We had 64K. That's tiny. Yeah, anyway. I can't believe I showed you that. That's so embarrassing. Anyway, I shall tell my old friends on our little Facebook Messenger group chat later on that I showed my audience Sam Fox strip poker. They'll get a laugh out of that.
He said, when that happened. It was last December. I had taken a room in... It was last December. I had taken... It was last December.
Tunnels of Doom was the best. I don't know Tunnels of Doom. What's Tunnels of Doom? Tunnels of Doom. Oh, yes. I played a bunch of games like that. I really liked the Dungeons and Dragons one, like Curse of the Azure Bonds and all those games. I loved those. Played them all the time. Monty on the Run, of course. Has your favorite song from the Commodore 64? Monty on the Run. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this work in front of you folks, because I don't know how much work I'm going to get done here. There's going to be like 2 hours of editing that'll take 7 hours. Nice. Oh, that bit not such a cool song, but that first bit, very groovy, very groovy. We're 35 seconds into this edit. This is ridiculous. Oh, I don't mind. That's all right. That's all right. Like I said in the intro, this is the most boring part of the job. You have fun in the booth recording, and then you do this boring, horrible job here, and then you have fun doing sound effects mix later. So, yeah. I don't mind you distracting me as much as you want to. That's good. And we can do nostalgic C64 searches all day for all I care.
When that happened. It was last December. I had taken a room in London, a large, unfurnished room in a big, ill-managed lodging house in a slum near Great Portland Street.
Delete the breath.
In a slum near Great Portland Street. The room was soon
A little bit too long.
Great Portland Street. The room was soon full of the appliances. Soon full of
Ah, I was just checking the voice.
The room was soon full of the appliances.
There you go.
The room was soon full of the appliances bought with his
It's difficult. Do we have any YouTube members or patrons in the audience? Because this whole book hasn't been played for the free-to-air audience yet, so you won't know. But the Invisible Man in the first 4 or 5 chapters, I think, he's all muffled up, right? He's wearing scarves, and I recorded his voice like this the whole time, so it sounded all muffled up. And then I found it very difficult to go to the unmuffled version of his voice, so I have to keep sort of reminding myself what he sounded like when I'm in the booth.
Lodging house in a slum near Great Portland Street. The room was
We got the end of a little breath there, so I'll mute that out. Get rid of it.
The room was soon full of the appliances I had bought with his money. The work was going on steadily, successfully, drawing near an end. I was like a man successfully drawing near an end. I was like a man emerging drawing near an end. I was like a man emerging from a thicket and suddenly coming upon some
You know what's wild? When I met the sound girl from the theatre who told me how quickly she could tell I was using a USB mic, before that, I couldn't hear it. I had no idea. I was perfectly happy with the old Yeti Blue as a mic. I used it for like 10 years. I bought a replacement when the old one got bad and rickety. But now, it's all I can hear is just the USB 16-bit quality of this mic. Anyway, just to think this all started with speak and spell tech. Wild. Yeah, like one little chip in a game that was probably designed in Japan. I don't know, but probably. Let's have a quick look. Speak and spell. The old speak and spell. Classic toy from Texas Instruments. There you go. 1978. Wow. Wow, yeah, that's some pretty old tech. I was 3 when this thing came out. I don't think I ever actually had one. My father was more into like, you know those books you can buy for your kids where they print like your child's name in the story to keep them, involved and all that sort of stuff. He got us heaps of that sort of thing, So, yeah. Surprisingly enough, I grew up to be a big reader. Shocker. Yeah.
Drawing near an end. I was like a man emerging from a thicket and suddenly coming upon some unmeaning tragedy.
It is wild, though. Another divergent. I'm old enough to have been. Like, my childhood had no computers when I was extremely young. Like, no one had a computer at home. Then they started sort of bopping around when I was, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. We got our first one when I was about 10. That was the Commodore 64. And then, PCs and everything flourished and it all just exploded. I mean, when I was a kid, there was no internet, there was no computers, no one had a mobile phone. They were these huge chunky things in the 80s that only hardcore yuppies and corporate officers had because you had to be a millionaire to pay the fees. And they were huge, heavy bricks. Hold them into hello? Huge, great big things. And now, everyone's got the sum of human knowledge in their pocket in a little mobile phone, and on which my second screen is my smartphone here. I'm looking at your comments through there. It's just wild seeing how much the world has changed. I'm a little bit of a history buff as well, and when you consider the 13th century, 14th century, 15th century, almost no change at all from the start, how things were done to the end, and then sort of the industrial age, and everyone was like, "Oh, look how fast technology is advancing," and then another 200 years of basically that, and then all of a sudden the electronic age, whoosh, life has just changed so much just in my lifetime. It's amazing. When I consider the Zoomers and Gen A who have grown up not knowing anything else, or everything has been at their fingertips for their whole life. And what we sort of didn't consider when Asimov was writing about multivac and that you're dreaming of the internet in the future, we never thought giving kids the sum total of global information also means giving them all the misinformation and all the half information, and giving them access to every liar and schemer in the world, just trying to rip them off and bullshit them constantly. And it's just, oh man, I don't know what their lives are going to be like later on, but oh man, it's going to be wild to see. Kryoji, I thought I was special when we got the Intellivision Speak module with B-17 Bomber. Absolutely. Mate of mine had the Dick Smith Wizard, which was very, very similar. Hills Top Home Inspections. Hey, shouldn't you be out inspecting homes? Just wanted to stop by and say your rendition of Animal Farm is fantastic. Thank you very much. That was actually a last-minute thing. There is a video of me getting the cast together. There was a cast. There was Tim Williams and Jen Speak and Michael Speak who got together and recorded it, and we're all sort of huddled around one Yeti Blue in the middle of us, and just the recording quality was so bad. It was the first time I tried to do anything like that. It was so bad that I couldn't use it, and I ended up re-recording it all myself over the course of the next week. I think I recorded it and then just edited it painstakingly over the next few months. But yeah, I was amazed that one came out so well. But it's not too bad. If you really want to hurt your ears, check out the original version of the theme song to Animal Farm, which is out there somewhere. I'm not sure if it's on the main channel or one of the subsidiaries, but yeah. That's another case of me on the guitar playing around and laying some sound effects on top. But the original was even worse. It was terrible. Anyway, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Creo G, kids these days think the microwave is cooking when remember the browning feature. Just wild. Yes, it's wild. It is wild. The technology. Imagine the technology they're going to have. I have a VR headset down here to my right. I remember VR coming in, and they were huge. Like, you'd go into an office building, and you would pay like $10 for a few minutes, which was a wild amount of money at the time, just to check out, these terrible 3D rendered graphics, shitty guns, crappy games and stuff. Now, this headset I've got down to my right, which is the second one I've ever owned, is just amazing. And it's so amazing, you get bored of it after a little while. Just astounding, the technology they're going to have as stuff goes on. I think I might just be a little bit too old. I might miss like the full-on burst of cybertech, but I'm now quite worried about that too. I think it's going to be hacked and full of ads and all sorts of nasty stuff, but who knows? Hillstop Home Inspections has finished his home inspections for the day. Good stuff. That's good. I'm glad. I'm sure you inspected many a home, and now they are mighty safe due to your efforts. So good. Splendid. All right. We're 1 minute into the editing. Oh my God. This is terrible. Okay. I'm not getting any work done, but I don't mind. I'd rather hang out with you guys anyway.
Tragedy. I went to bury him. My mind was still on this research, and I did not lift a finger to save his character.
That's why I redid that. Okay.
Tragedy. I went
A little bit shorter.
Tragedy.
Okay, we'll have to... Normally, I will leave breaths between lines, of course, but not if I have to cut in the middle of them.
Tragedy. I went to bury him. My mind was still on this research, and I did not lift a finger to save his character. I remember the funeral of his...
What's his Creo G? In my opinion, I think AI will end it before anyone gets to see that version of the world, but don't want to black pill anyone, so I'll just shut up now. As you've probably guessed, I fucking hate AI in the arts. Like in the sciences, mathematics, oh my god, so useful. Go to it. Let it trawl through 100,000 lines of code and find the one that's wrong. Absolutely let it do that. That's what it should be used for. That's what it's good for. Make it do the drudge work that it can do really quickly and humans can't. Let it do that. In the arts, it should absolutely not be there. We should be using AI to free up our time so that we can do more art. It shouldn't be making art for us. So I really, really, really hate it. But I am a little bit gratified at the moment in seeing just how many nations are starting to regulate AI and to pass laws that say, hey, massive corporation, you can't actually trawl through everyone's work for several thousand years just to, decide how your AI is going to draw some picture that you've stolen. I've even got friends that are out there and they brag about, look at this thing I created, and it's some AI picture or song or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't want to be mean, but you didn't create shit. What you did was tell a computer to go and steal art from the bunch of people who have created it, who have spent their lives getting good at creating things, and some corporation that's just doing it for fat cash has trawled all that and stolen it and has said, oh, it's okay to steal intellectual property as long as we're doing it to train our AI. It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. But some countries are starting to stand up and say, yeah, you're not actually allowed to do that. And that's great to see. I do think more, like we're moving in the right direction. I think, I hope, fingers crossed. See how bad my fingers crossing is? I'm very inflexible. Anyway, yeah, like China has just passed some laws that say you can't do that. Australia, my home country, has said, yeah, you're not allowed to do that, mate. And a bunch of other countries are starting to move in that direction. So I am kind of hopeful that I think we are reaching the point where the AI bubble is going to burst. And remember, this is not the first time AI has reared its ugly head, and a lot of these new technologies where people are just rushing in and funding bullshit semi-legal versions of them do eventually burst and die and cave in and crumble, and I'm hoping that happens. So there you go. I'm surprisingly, for me, for once, I'm actually moderately hopeful that governments and law are going to protect us from this horrible scourge of bullshit corporate AI. Yeah, there you go.
Lift a finger to save his character. I remember the funeral, the cheap hearse, the scant ceremony, and the windy, frost-bitten hillside. And the old college ceremony, and the windy, frost-bitten hillside. And the old college friend of his who read the service over him.
Trim that down a little bit more, I think.
Hillside, and the old college friend of his
that's
who read
better.
the service over him. A shabby, black, bent old man with a snivelling cold.
The Kitsman says, love all your work, Steve. Oh, thank you very much. Listen to nearly everything. I have another channel where I do meditations, AI accounts with millions of followers. I just can't stand the non-real voices. I have another channel where I do meditations, AI accounts with millions of followers. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the AI accounts. As I sort of complained on the channel the other day, there is one channel in particular that has just absolutely destroyed my business. The combination of AI coming in and churning out shit audiobooks and some lawyers who decided to punch down real hard on me a couple of years ago. I've gone from the business this business, Steve Parker Audiobooks, doing okay, never great, but like a few years ago, we actually earned enough that we had to pay tax for the first time. And that was an incredibly proud moment for me. For 2 years in a row, we had to pay tax because we were making enough money for that. And of course, being me, I spent it all on, other artists, giving them a platform. It's like, hey, you're a talented amateur? Great, let me give you a little bit of money, and now you can say you're a talented professional. Awesome. Fortunately, I did. My wife's quite a lot smarter than me, and she made me put aside enough money that I could buy, a computer and a new microphone and stuff when those needs came up. But now I'm earning so little through this that it hurts. It hurts very badly to think of how much money these AI channels are making from no effort. No effort at all. They just feed the text into some fucking program and it shits out, an AI audiobook. And then you go through the comments and it hurts even more because you've got people who cannot tell the difference listening and going, wow, your voice is so great. I love hearing your work. Fantastic. More. And it's like, it's a fucking computer. It's AI. And sorry, I don't want to, I don't want to go on about it too much. But yeah, I mean, we are in deep trouble. Deep trouble. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely want AI in the arts to end for many, many reasons.
A shabby, black, bent old man with a sniveling cold. A shabby, black, bent old man with a sniveling cold.
Good. Yeah, we'll take that one.
With a sniveling cold.
This character, the Invisible Man, Griffin is his name. He is a disdainful, horrible dude. He's an awful person.
Man with a sniveling cold.
Mm.
I remember walking back to the empty house through the place that had once been a village and was now patched and tinkered by the jerry builders into the ugly likeness of a town.
Okay, here's a trick for you. I'm going to pick a nice, solid word. Can you hear there? I ran out of breath before the end of the line.
Ugly likeness of a town.
Of a town, right? I had no breath in my lungs. So, ugly is a nice, solid sound. We'll trim it there. And if we've done our job well, you'll never be able to hear the difference.
By the jerry builders into the ugly likeness of a town.
How good.
Everywhere the roads went out at last into the desecrated fields and ended in rubble heaps and rank wet weeds. I remember myself.
We'll click there, can't stand a click. Always get rid of a click.
Rubble heaps and rank wet weeds. I remember myself as a gaunt black figure going along the slippery, shining pavement, and the strange sense of detachment I felt from the squalid respectability, the sordid commercialism of the place. I did not feel a bit sorry for my... I did not feel a bit sorry for my father.
2 minutes, we hit the 2-minute mark. That's great. How long have we been streaming? 1,000 years? We've done 2 minutes of editing. Oh well, there we go. That's okay. It's like we're getting some work done, right? And having some interesting chats to boot. Lovely.
I did not feel a bit sorry for my father. He seemed to me to be the victim of his own foolish sentimentality. The current cant required my attendance at his funeral, but it was really not my affair. By going along the high street, my old life came back to me for a space, for I met the girl I had known 10 years since. Our eyes met. Something moved me to turn back and talk to her. She was a very ordinary person. It was all like a dream.
He's such a tosser. He really is.
Talk to her. She was a very ordinary person. It was all like a dream.
I can't wait till you guys actually hear this book.
She was a very ordinary person. It was all like a dream.
I think you've got What have you got for the free-to-air audience? You've got The Rest of Around the World in 80 Days, then The Great Gatsby, and then this, I think. Or did I do something in between? I can't even remember. This year has been so chaotic with moving around like mad. Let's check our library here on all Patreon. The Invisible Man, The Invisible Man, The Invisible Man. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, Great Gatsby was just before it. I didn't think I'd done another one, but yeah, sometimes it could be hard to tell. When I first started acting, I met an older actor who was saying, "Oh, I've forgotten how many plays I've been in. I can't remember them all." And I thought, that's absurd. How can you not remember? A play is such a big, important thing. How can you not remember them all? Now, I don't even remember every audiobook I've done. I have to really think, what did I do? I can remember like the first few, then there's a bit of a blur, and I might forget one or two, and then I remember the most recent ones. So, yeah, I have been doing this for 10 years now, which is cool.
It was all like a dream, that visit to the old places. I did not feel that I was lonely, that I had come out from the world into a desolate place. I appreciated my loss of sympathy, but I put it down to the general inanity of things.
Oh, whoops, I did miss a comment. Sorry about that. Cree OG, my issue is people becoming more dependent and now dumber as a result. This is AI, obviously, talking about like ChatGPT, that sort of thing, I presume. It obviously was not the lack of information, but now we cannot even remember things as simple as a phone number. So working in reverse. Yeah, I wish I hadn't told that story now that I can't remember every play and audiobook I've done. But yeah, you're right. They have actually done studies where like frequent users of AI models and ChatGPT and that sort of thing, the brain gets lazier and lazier and lazier and worse at remembering things. Your brain is a muscle. You have to work out. Like I turned 50 this year, so I've really started concentrating on my body. I'll show you my gym sometime. It's pretty cool, actually, and my mind. As most of you probably know, Alice and I moved to Japan for a couple of years, a year or so ago, 3 years ago, right? We stayed over there and trying to learn the Japanese language. It's an incredibly difficult language to learn. It's so freaking hard. If I was smarter, if I was a better student, we'd probably still be in Japan because I'd be able to communicate with people better, but I'm not great at that sort of thing, and it's a really hard language to learn. But even now that we've left Japan, we've kept up the study because it's so hard. It's great weightlifting for the brain, right? You have to work out your brain. You have to keep it strong or you will lose your intellect, your memory, your ability to learn. You will lose it particularly as you get older. Like I said, I've just turned 50. I'm quite worried about, dementia and that sort of thing. My gran lost the ability she kept calling me by my father's name and stuff in the years before she died. My father, who was a freaking genius, like seriously, my father had like 4 degrees in university. He was an artistic savant, a brilliant musician, a great, painter and a mathematician. He was an amazing dude. But at the end, his last word to me before he died was stupid, because he couldn't use his brain anymore. It all deteriorated. Now, that was cancer. It's a different thing. But you can see what I'm getting at, right? Your brain is really important. It's who you are. You have to work out, man. You have to work out your brain. You can't let some freaking AI computer do your thinking for you. Sure, if you want to know who was the king of, Hungary in 1176, Google that shit. You don't, by all means. But for your general creativity, you got to work out your brain. You got to keep it strong. Keep it strong, man. Your body and your brain strong. Work out. Lift heavy thoughts. Does that make sense? Is that a good thing to say? I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean. Yeah. Work out your body, work out your brain. Keep healthy. Fit and healthy, body and brain. Yeah. Okay.
I put it down to the general inanity of things.
Ugh, which is why I hate this job. It's just grunt work. There's no creativity in this bit. But anyway, that's all right.
I put it down to the general inanity of things. Re-entering my room seemed like the recovery of reality. There were all the things. There were the things I knew and loved. There were all the things.
It's just deleting errors that I made in reading. Sometimes I'll do a reading of some line and then go, oh, that was a bit crap. I didn't really get the feeling of that, or the characterization didn't feel right, and I'll read it again. So I have to delete the old shitty version. I don't think I've ever forgotten to do that. I've certainly heard it in other people's audiobooks and podcasts and that sort of thing, where they've clearly done 2 takes and they've left them both in. I don't think I've ever done that. I hope not. I hope not. I don't know. It might just be a benefit of how I make audiobooks, because I record it, then I do this edit, and then I have a whole second edit where I'm laying on sound effects and all that sort of thing. So I get to listen to it again, edit it again, and catch errors again. So maybe. Can any of you remember any time that I've done that? I might have done it. Some might have slipped through the cracks, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Re-entering my room seemed like the recovery of reality. There were the things I knew and loved. There stood the apparatus, the experiments arranged and waiting, and now there was scarcely a difficulty left beyond the planning of details. I will tell you,
Stinkity stick, I'll do it for 15 an hour. That's a good deal, but we can't afford it anymore. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I will tell
Blame AI. They've really shattered our income.
left beyond the planning of details. I will tell you, Kemp, sooner or later, all the complicated processes. We need not go into that now. For the most part, saving certain gaps I chose to remember, they are written in cipher in those books that tramp has hidden. We must hunt him down. We must get those books back. But the essential phase was to place the transparent object whose refractive...
Okay, there's some of that pause, I think.
Get those books back. But the essential phase was to place the transparent object whose refractive index was to be lowered between 2 radiating centers of a sort of ethereal vibration, of which I will tell you more fully later. No, not the Röntgen vibrations. I don't know that these others of mine have been described. Yet they are obvious enough. I needed 2 little dynamos, and these I worked with a cheap gas engine. My first experiment was with a bit of white wool fabric. It was the strangest thing in the world to see it in the... It was the strangest thing in the world to see it...
There. Okay. Cotty cot.
To see...
I can't remember how much we used to pay Matche, but it was per minute of edited material. If Alice was here, she would be able to tell you she handled all that sort of stuff. She's like a corporate office manager in her day-to-day life, so she tends to handle all that officey stuff for me.
It was the strangest thing in the world to see it in the flicker of the flashes soft and white, and then to watch it fade like a wreath of smoke and vanish. I could scarcely believe I had done it. I put my hands in the emptiness, and there was the thing, as solid as ever. I felt it awkwardly and threw it on the floor. I had little trouble finding it again. And then came trouble finding it again. And then came curious experience. I heard a meow behind me, and turning, saw a lean white cat, very dirty, on the cistern cover outside the window. A thought came into my head.
Is that a click?
Outside the window.
Yes. Sick. I worked in a corporate office for about a week. I ran away screaming. It's a very specific environment, isn't it?
on the cistern cover outside the window. A thought.
This is going to be tricky.
Window.
Okay, wait.
Window. Window. Outside the window, a thought came into my head. Everything ready for you, I said, and went to the window, opened it, and called softly. She came in, purring. The poor beast was starving, and I gave her some milk.
I've done all sorts of jobs. I've never been a full-on corporate officer, but I did work in a call center for a while, and that was pretty horrible. I'm not so good at just following route formulas. You do this, like this, and then this and this and this, all day, every day for the next 55 years. No, thank you. No, I can't do that. I would go insane.
She came in,
Yeah.
purring. The poor beast was starving, and I gave her some milk.
Honestly, I don't understand how the world didn't learn the lesson after COVID that, you know what, most jobs can be done from home and all the work gets done. I just think the big money people don't like the power being outside of their direct control that much, They'd rather it all just, I don't know. They like their CBDs, their big office blocks, and all that sort of stuff. I don't quite know why. Surely that's really expensive, right? Wouldn't it be better just to? Yeah, they don't care. Whatever. I don't understand money. I never really have. I don't get it. But there you go.
And called softly. She came in, purring. The poor beast was starving, and I gave her some milk. All my food was in a cupboard in the corner of the room. After that, she went smelling round the room, evidently with the idea of making herself at home. The invisible rag upset her a bit. You should have seen her spit at it. But I made her comfortable on the pillow of my truckle bed, and I gave her butter to get her to wash. And you processed her. And bed, and I gave her butter to get her to wash. And
Okay, that gap doesn't have to be anywhere near that big.
To get her to wash. And you processed her. I processed her.
You can probably trim that a bit too.
And you processed her. I processed her. But giving drugs to a cat is no joke, Camp. And the process failed.
You know what jobs I don't mind? Regular jobs, though. I quite like hospitality. Unfortunately, my body burns very hot. Very, very hot. I perspire incredibly quickly. So, you know what customers don't like? It's having sweat in their food. So I couldn't do that job after about 22. All of a sudden, my body just started sweating all the time. So I had to give that up. But also teaching. I really loved teaching. When I was back in Adelaide, in my home city in South Australia, I was in a boxing club, and our head coach and his husband went off on a tour around America to visit all their old friends. They came from America, visit all their old friends and do a bunch of fights in different gyms and all that sort of stuff. And while he was gone for like 6 months, it was my job to teach the beginners class. And man, I've never been so happy in my life. I love teaching beginner martial artists and introducing them to their journey of the combat arts. It's just the best. I absolutely love that job. I would have done that forever if I could, even though it paid about as badly as making audiobooks on YouTube. But it was fun. It was a great job. I love it. Yeah.
Failed in two particulars.
On the flip side, I was once the cleaner doing shift work in an abattoir. That was not as much fun. Gross job, horrible.
And the process failed. In two particulars.
Bow to your sensei. Yeah.
The back of the
Yeah.
eye of a cat, Tapetum cat.
I came up in a traditional martial artist's background, so there was a certain amount of that, despite the fact that I was teaching boxing at the time. We all, sort of. I didn't make them bow because boxers feel really weird if you make them bow and treat it like a martial art. But I did make them go around the room and we just bump fists and thank each other, at the end of every class, which is important. Mutual respect. You got to be aware. No one trains alone. You train with people.
The eye in a cat, Tapetum. Yes, the tapetum. It didn't go. After I'd given the stuff to bleach the blood and done certain other things to her, I gave the beast opium and put her and the pillow she was sleeping on the apparatus. And after all the rest had faded and vanished, there remained 2 little ghosts.
Think of the scene in Napoleon Dynamite. We watched that a few weeks ago. Again, that was wild. Oh my God, I haven't seen it in ages, but we watched it again. I don't think Alice had ever seen it. She's a little bit younger than me, 9 years younger than I am. So there's a few of the things that I saw that she wasn't really wasn't into at the time.
Of her eyes. Odd. I can't explain it.
Oh, what's the name of the art? It's like Danny Doe or Jason Fu, something like that, right? It's just really, really terrible. Yeah. I love that bit. Very cool.
Of her eyes. Odd. I can't explain it. She was bandaged. Odd. 2 little ghosts of her eyes. Odd. Ghosts of her eyes. Odd. I can't explain it. She was bandaged and clamped, of course, so I had her safe, but she woke while she was still misty and meowed dismally, and someone came knocking. It was an old woman from downstairs who suspected me, and someone...
I might see if I can get rid of that breath. If it still sounds natural...
dismally, and someone came knocking.
Yeah, I'll leave it like that. I like that.
Downstairs, who suspected me of vivisecting a drink-sodden old creature with only a white cat to care for in all the world. I whipped out some chloroform, applied it, and answered the door.
This was, of course, the time when vivisection was totally illegal. Rex Kwon Do! That was the art. Yeah. Super cool. Very awful. And his incredibly attractive wife. Oh, beautiful.
Applied it and answered the door. Did I hear a cat? She asked. My cat? Not here, said I, very politely. She was a little doubtful and tried to peer past me into the room. Strange enough to her, no doubt. Bare walls, uncurtained windows.
Vote for Pedro, exactly.
Vibrating. With the gas engine vibrating. Windows, truckle bed with the gas engine vibrating. Gas engine vibrating.
Right.
Gas engine.
Yeah, from gas.
Gas.
Okay, there we go. I'd completely forgotten that Pedro had a wig during all that until we rewatched it. Wild. Very cool film. Made for like 300 grand or something and made many millions. One of those successful stories. Very cool.
Bare walls, uncurtained windows, truckle bed with the gas engine vibrating and the seethe of the radiant points and the faint ghastly stinging of chloroform in the air. And she had to be satisfied at last.
What are your thoughts on 3-Eye Atlas? I don't know what that is. Let's have a look. What's that? 3-Eye Atlas. Oh, super cool. Oh dear. I had not heard of this at all. All right, let's see if we can find... Okay, so we're going to go with NASA, I think. They're generally pretty like... every YouTuber under the sun has given their little opinion of it. Discovered on the 1st of July, 2025. Okay. The old Hubble estimates this. I'm glad the Hubble is still useful. Okay, let's try the European Space Agency. Since Comet 3I/Atlas, the third known interstellar object, was discovered on the 1st of July 2025, astronomers worldwide have worked to predict its trajectory. ESA has now improved the comet's predicted location by a factor of 10 thanks to the innovative use of observation data from our ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter spacecraft orbiting Mars. By being able to use Mars-based data for an unusual observation, we learn more about the interstellar comet's path through our solar system. In a valuable test case for planetary defense, even though it does not pose any danger. Okay, cool. Well, that's great. I always love that sort of stuff. It's a bit like COVID, right? Like like COVID was nowhere near as dangerous as we thought it would be, okay, or we thought it might be, but it was a great test case in case like the new bubonic plague launches or something. It's like, how are people going to react, all that sort of stuff, and we know so much more about that now. And this comet, even though it's not going to hit us, not going to cause any damage, danger, or anything like that, just working out how we're going to track it better using all sorts of, satellites and whatnot, probes and rovers that we've got about the place. It's, very cool, very cool. The more we learn about these things, I mean, we do live on a fragile little bubble on the edge of oblivion every moment of our existence. Take a look at the surface of the moon, you'll see the sheer number of impacts that have narrowly missed us. We've been defended by Jupiter and the moon for, a gazillion trillion years. But that's not always going to be the case. There's definitely been big impacts before, right? Why not again? Yeah. No, very cool. Very cool, I'll say. That we have used new technology and new abilities to more accurately predict its movements. Very cool. Without reading more about it, of course, I don't know. Alien patrol checking why a car was seen heading to Mars. They'll track its origin, and then we'll be toast. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, we've got objects much further out than Mars, way further. Voyager, right? The old probe left our solar system a few years back. It's a long way out, just heading out in the middle of nowhere. Occasionally, still sending back little bits of data. Yeah. Again, like we tend to think of ourselves being so advanced, right, on the path of humanity, but really we're still in our infancy. We know nothing. We've barely set foot off our planet. And we're still arguing about fucking money and flags and borders. Oh my God, borders bore me so much. Oh, no, I don't care about your primitive Bronze Age culture or beliefs, whatever the hell. We have things that we're supposed to be doing. We have an intergalactic destiny awaiting us, and we're still arguing about the table settings. Anyway, Earth still has oil. What? Right? There's this great little short science fiction story that I love. It's very, very short, but it's super cool. Based on an old piece of biology, and it's like an alien probe shows up in our solar system, and all the world's governments and scientists, they're like, "What are we going to do, bro?" And they all get together and figure out how to communicate with it. And they send out a probe and go, "Hi, we're down here, humanity." And they get a message back, and they have to decode it and work it. They go, everyone's total abilities are working on decoding this little message, and they finally managed to read it. And it says, "Are you crabs yet?" Crabs? No, we're humans. And the ship just leaves. And it's based on this old bit of biology where eventually everything sort of becomes crabs. Just the convergence of evolution and all that sort of thing that ends up so many species in our past over billions and millions of years have basically become crabs, and I think that's very funny. Are you crabs yet? No, right. We're out of here. We'll be back in another million years. See if you're crabs yet. Super cool, super cool. Damn Elon for doing that. Doing what? But how's the GPS keeping up in that Tesla? Yeah. Teslas, eh? Gosh. Man, we used to think Elon was going to save the world. Now he's just gone insane. He's the richest person on the planet now, isn't he? Like the world's first trillionaire? No one should have that much money. No one needs that much money. You could never spend that much money. Anyway, whatever. We're moving on to other things, and I'm supposed to be working. We've hit 6 minutes. Look at that, 6 minutes of editing, because he started telling his story, and we don't have to edit quite so much now. Anyway, moving on. Keep sending interesting things if you want, though. I don't mind being distracted during this boring work, as I have said.
Windows, truckle bed with the gas engine vibrating and the seethe of the radiant points and the faint, ghastly stinging of chloroform in the air. And she had to be satisfied at last and went away again. How long did it take? Asked Kemp. And went away again. How long did it take?
Oh, sending the car to Mars. Right, he sent one of his cars to Mars or something, didn't he? What a weird thing to do. What a weird guy. Like, really? Like, that's what happens when someone's got too much money. It's, I'm going to send one of my cars to Mars. That's my impression of Elon Musk. Pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think I've actually ever heard him very much.
How long did it take? Asked Kemp.
I know that's not his accent at all. I'm going to send one of my Teslas to Mars. It's going to be fantastic. Look, it'll be all silver driving around on auto, not bumping into rocks. It'll be amazing. Everyone's going to love it. I take it back. That's a flawless impression of Elon Musk. I'm great. One wonders who was in the trunk. Oh, yeah. There you go. If that guy that ran Amazon suddenly disappeared and no one could find him, we'd be like, I've got some ideas where he might have gone, Elon got a little competitive. Oh, no.
How long did it take? Asked Kemp.
I'm a very silly man.
How long did it take? Asked Kemp. 3 or 4 hours, the cat. The bones and sinews and the fat were the last to go, and the tips of the coloured hairs.
Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, maybe so. A little bit of Australian history for you. One of our prime ministers just disappeared. It's true. He just disappeared between one day and the next. They reckon he went swimming or something and just gone. That's Australia for you. We looked around for a couple of days, went, yeah, well, get another one. Go to the prisons, drag out another convict, put him in the big chair. That'll be right. Oh, one of those billionaires who paid for a space trip. He didn't read the fine print. Right. Like the dudes in the submarine, right? Don't worry, I built it at home, but it will all be fine. I've made it with a PlayStation controller. That is the sign of quality.
3 or 4 hours. The bones and sinews and the fat.
What's wrong with me?
And, as I say, the back part of the eyes, tough, iridescent stuff it is, wouldn't go at all.
Some people will say, like, they were dropped on their head as a baby. I think my parents played basketball with me sometimes. Like the Robert Maxwell story. Oh, here we go again on the old Google. Robert Maxwell. Ian Robert Maxwell was a Czechoslovakian-born British media proprietor and politician of Jewish descent. He escaped the Nazi occupation of his native Czechoslovakia and joined the Czechoslovak army. In exile, he's there. Was he ever found? He was litigious and often embroiled in controversy. In 1989, he had to sell successful businesses to cover some of his debts. In 91, his body was discovered floating in the Atlantic Ocean, having apparently fallen overboard from his yacht while on a tour with some local mafiosos. Yeah. You don't want to annoy the wrong people, That's one of the theories about Kennedy as well, isn't it? He got in too deep with the mafia and then sort of reneged on his promises. While we're here, in 1967, Harold Holt, that was him, became the third Australian Prime Minister to die in office. His death was subsequently the subject of controversy. He was presumed dead 2 days after he disappeared while swimming at Cheviot Beach near Portsea in Melbourne, which is the Australian pronunciation, Melbourne. I know it doesn't sound right to most foreigners, but that's how it's said. Melbourne. Look at me. That was me at my fattest, by the way. 170 kilograms I am in that photo. And that was from a short film based on Fallout, which was never released. And I was very annoyed because it was super cool to work on. Anyway, that sort of thing happens when you're an actor. Is he related to Ghislaine Maxwell? Yeah, that was her father. Oh, yep, he is. Oh, okay, there you go. Ghislaine Maxwell. Who's that? Another media person? Very suspicious name. Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, she's that. Oh! Well, bit of a suspicious family there. Eh? Yeah. Some quite interesting things happening around that whole story right now. What? Yeah.
Wouldn't go at all. It was night outside long before the business was over, and nothing was to be seen but the dim eyes and the claw. Iridescent stuff.
That gap sounds
wouldn't
loud.
Go at all. It was night out.
Yeah, it's a bit too long.
Stuff it is. Wouldn't go at all. It was night outside.
The plot thickens indeed, Kryuji. Indeed.
Wouldn't go at all. It was night out.
I do like no matter who's caught up in this, I don't really care. But I do like the idea that eventually, at least sometimes, even super powerful billionaires and whatnot get their comeuppance. Money is not necessarily the only thing you need to do whatever the hell you want on this earth. I mean, 99 times out of 100, it will get you out of trouble, but maybe not every time.
Tough, iridescent stuff it is. Wouldn't go at all. It was night outside long before the business was over, and nothing was to be seen but the dim eyes and the claws.
I just realized I haven't saved this project at all during this whole work session. Yee! That's not good. Particularly on this piece of software, which crashes fairly frequently and messes up all the time. Oh my god, look how little we've done. We haven't even hit 7 minutes yet. We've been doing this for ages. Our elites are the same as the Romans. And what happened to Rome? I think it's fine, isn't it? Still Roman emperors bopping around the place, doing shows in the Colosseum? Pretty sure. Yeah. No, you're quite right. Yeah. I mean, we'd get on to the underlying human theory of capitalism, which is really so weird. But it does tend to sort of reveal corruption in my estimations, I think. It's not inherently bad in itself. You can't just go, oh, everything's the fault of corruption, because it's just a system. And if it wasn't being abused by corrupt people, it would be fine. Like most other human systems we've ever come up with, every government form in the world, mostly, has been fine as long as it wasn't abused by corrupt people. And that's the problem. A friend of mine used to say, Even if you had the perfect system and the perfect people and everybody followed the rules and helped each other and it was all great, you would just need one person who decided to be corrupt and greedy and selfish and inconsiderate, and they would ruin everything. And unfortunately, we sort of live in a culture where there's lots of those people. You know, you see them on the roads all the time. Oh my God, this city we've moved to, Dunedin, has the worst drivers I've ever come across in my life. In the last few years, I've driven in 3 different countries and 10 different cities. This city is the worst. They don't care about anyone. That's amazing. They don't even seem to care about themselves. They're suicidal. Anyway, yeah. Corruption. It's a big issue.
And, as I say, the back part of the eyes, tough iridescence, wouldn't...
I don't know why anyone would ever listen to me about anything. I'm not clever at all, but yeah, there's my 2 cents. Most systems are fine, just not if humans are involved in them at all.
Tough iridescent stuff it is. Wouldn't go at all. It was night outside long before the business was over, and nothing was to be seen but the dim eyes and the claws. I stopped the gas engine, felt for it, stroked the beast. Felt for hands. I stopped the gas engine, felt for it, stroked for it.
Oh.
Felt for hand.
Oh, Steve, you left yourself a really hard edit there, mate.
I stopped the gas engine, felt for it, for hand. Felt for it.
I hope this one works.
I stopped the gas engine, felt for hand, stroked.
Okay, let's... We've left a bit of a gap, so we'll get rid of that for a start. Oh, look. There's a lovely little error for you. That's one of the things this piece of software does all the time.
Filled for hand, stroked the... I stopped the gas engine, filled for hand, stroked the beast, which was...
I think that's as good as I'm going to get that.
Left it sleeping on the invisible pillow and went to bed.
As with most edits while I'm doing these things, you have to sort of decide, is that something that only I will ever notice, or will the audience notice that? What do you think? You guys have a listen. Let me know if you think, if you were just listening to this and you weren't aware of the massive cock up I just made in editing, would you notice this?
I stopped the gas engine, filled for hand, stroked the beast, which was still insane.
What do you think? Felt 4 is the edit point.
I stopped the gas engine, filled for hand, stroked the beast, which was still...
I think that's okay.
Being tired, left it sleeping on the invisible pillow and went to bed. I found it hard to sleep. I lay awake thinking weak, aimless stuff, going over the experiment over and over again, or dreaming feverishly of things growing misty and vanishing about me, until everything, the ground I stood on, vanished. So I came to sickly falling nightmare one. And so I came to sickly falling nightmare one gets. About 2 the cat began meowing about nightmare one gets. About 2 the cat began meowing about the room. I tried to hush it by talking to it, and then I decided to turn it out. I remember the shock I had when striking a light. There was just the round eyes shining green and nothing round them. I would have given it milk, but I hadn't any. It wouldn't be quiet. It just sat down and meowed at the door. I tried to catch it with an idea of putting it out the window, but it wouldn't be caught. It vanished. Then it began meowing in different parts of the room. At last, I opened the window and made a bustle. I suppose it went out at last. I never saw it anymore. Then
just a little marker there as we save again. What's that? 752. All right.
I never saw it anymore.
Cabbage Merchant 12098. Hello, Steve. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you. We're having a bit of fun. We've gone through a lot of little interesting subjects, actually, while I've been trying to work. But it's boring work, so I don't mind being distracted. It's all good. Creo might just be being overcritical, Steve. Overall flow still works. Yeah, I agree. I think so. We've just been checking an edit, Cabbage Merchant. Where was it? Was it this one?
Stuff it is.
No.
Filled for
There you go. That's the one. See if you can hear an error here. I think it's okay, but you're new to this stream, so your opinion will be useful.
I stopped the gas engine, filled for, and stroked the beast, which was still insensible.
Does that sound weird?
I stopped the gas engine, filled for, and stroked the beast.
I think it's okay. We think it's okay. So let us know if it jumps out at you as some weird sounding thing. But I think it's all right. I think you're right, Cree. I'm very judgmental of those little things, but when it comes to that sort of stuff, it's either go and re-record it, or just make it as good as I can and decide it's okay. You know.
And then, heaven knows why, I fell thinking of my father's funeral again, and the Disney.
The thing is, I can spend way too much time on these things. 1984 took a year to make because I agonized over every, demisecond of that thing. And too much, too slow. I need to put out stuff faster than that, particularly if I'm competing with AI, because they can do it so quickly.
I never saw it anymore. And then, heaven knows why, I fell thinking of my father's funeral again, and the Disney. and the dismal, windy hills.
And the Disney.
And the Disney.
You know how sometimes words get mashed up in your head? Disney was what happened when dismal and windy got mashed up while I was reading them.
Heaven knows why. I fell thinking of my father's funeral again, and the dismal, windy hills.
Let's trim that just a little bit.
Father's funeral again, and the dismal, windy hillside until the day had come. I found sleeping. And the Disney.
Disney again.
And the dismal, windy hillside until then, heaven knows why. And the dismal, windy hillside. Me. And the dismal thinking of my father's funeral again. And the Disney. And the me.
Madness.
I fell thinking of my father's funeral again. And the dismal, windy hillside until the day. And the.
A little bit more space.
I fell thinking of my father's funeral again, and the dismal.
It goes blank. Problematic. You can only hear half a breath. That's why it sounds stilted.
Of my father's funeral again, and the.
Right, then we can trim it.
Of my father's funeral again, and the dismal, windy hillside until the day had come. I found sleeping was hopeless, and locking my door after me, wandered out into the morning streets. You don't mean. You don't. After me, wandered out into the morning streets. You don't mean to say there's an invisible cat at large, said Kemp. If it. An invisible cat at large, said Kemp. If it hasn't been killed. Cat at large, said Kemp. If it hasn't been killed, said the Invisible Man. Why? Said Kemp. If it hasn't been killed, said the Invisible Man. Why not? Why not? Said the Invisible Man. Why not? Why not? Said Kemp. Man. Why not? Why not? Said Kemp. I didn't mean to interrupt. Why not? Why not? Said Kemp. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's very probably. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's very probably been killed, said Kemp. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's very probably been killed, said the Invisible Man. It was alive 4 days after, I know. It's very probably been killed, said the Invisible Man. It was alive 4 days after, I know, and down a grating in Great Titchfield Street, because I saw a crowd round the place trying to see whence the meowing came. He was silent for the best part. He was to see whence the meowing came. He was trying to see whence the meowing came. He was silent for the best part of a minute, then he resumed abruptly. I remember the mornings Then he resumed abruptly. I remember the mornings before the change very vividly. I must have gone up Great Portland Street. I remember the barracks in Albany Street and the horse soldiers coming out, and at last I found the summit of Primrose Hill. It was a sunny day in January, one of those sunny, frosty days that comes before the snow this year. It was a sunny day in January, one of those sunny, frosty days that before. It was a sunny day in January, one of those sunny, frosty days that came before the snow this year. Of those sunny. One of those. One of those sunny. One of those sunny, frosty. Sunny day in January, one of those sunny. Sunny. Those. One of those.
Yeah, seeing how this stuff is done is just wild to me. Much respect for your awesome work. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Ha ha ha. Are you laughing at my growling at myself? Getting things wrong?
One of those
All right. I don't like that. I don't like that.
One of those.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to blend that, and we're going to take this and we're going to lower the volume a little because it's too loud. It's too loud. This might not work, and I'll just have to settle with a lesser edit. We'll see.
January, one of those sunny.
No, that's terrible. That's awful.
January, one of those sunny. January, one of those.
We'll just have to take it from back there.
It was a sunny day in January, one of those sunny, frosty days that came before the snow this year.
See, that's okay. It's just I liked the blending of the previous one of those, and then I was hoping to be able to cut in. S's are remarkably useful for editing there, because just you can easily cut one S into another S, and it just sounds like the same S, because S is S, you know. I hope that made sense. It wasn't just the blathering of an idiot, but yeah, I was hoping to be able to blend that further along in the speech, but you know, this will do. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Snickety Snick gives me flashbacks to Macromedia Flash when I used Audacity for sound editing. Yes, yes. I mean, I don't know if any of you were here on Monday when I was doing the sound effects edit for Chapter 19. This is Chapter 20. But I use Adobe Premiere for that one because it's much better for visualization, being able to stack up different sound effects and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is very linear editing, you know. Yeah, it's very similar, very similar.
It was a sunny day in January, one of those sunny, frosty days that came before the snow this year. My weary brain tried to formulate the position, to plot a plan of action.
Honestly, if Audacity would do this cool easy mute and fade in and out there, I would probably use Audacity rather than this software.
To plot out.
Because it's good. Audacity is good software. And it's free, which is great.
Formulate the position, to plot out a plan of action.
I can't remember how much this program cost. It wasn't super expensive. I think I bought it on special. It was like $50 maybe, something like that, years and years and years ago. But I mean, before this, I was using Adobe Soundbooth CS3, which I think was 2007. I reckon that one came out. I'd been using that old Adobe for years and years and years. But when you could actually just buy software from Adobe before now when they make you license it and give them $30 a month. Bastards. Anyway.
Formulate the position to plot out a plan of action. I was surprised to find, now that my prize was within my grasp, how inconclusive its attainment seemed. As a matter of fact, I was worked out. The intense stress of nearly 4 years' continuous work left me incapable of any strength of feeling. I was apathetic, and I tried in vain to recover the enthusiasm of my first inquiries, the passion of discovery that had enabled me to compass even the downfall of my father's grey hairs. Nothing seemed to matter.
I hate Adobe, the company, so much. I'm with you. So do I. I really, really do. Yeah. Premiere Pro is just useful enough for me to keep it, and because I'm, sorry, this chair is very uncomfortable. Because I'm an older fella who's using it for professional purposes, I feel like I have to pay for it. When I was younger, I would have just pirated that shit because the company is terrible. But yeah, there you go. Kriog, the subscriptions are the pits for the end users still using Word from 2004. Wow. Gosh, I don't use Word much. Alice does. She uses that whole Office suite. She's obsessed with spreadsheets. She loves spreadsheets. Every time we go on holiday, she'll make a spreadsheet for where we're going and what we have to pack and all that sort of stuff. It's very good, very useful, very organized, but yeah, she loves them. She loves a spreadsheet. I really think she's one of those few people who, in an office atmosphere, has found a job that she actually likes because she gets to organize stuff on spreadsheets all the time. Like, she's a team leader handling where workers go out and do different jobs and that sort of thing. And she's just organizing and making spreadsheets all day. She loves it. Maybe it's karma for all the times I downloaded a cracked version of Photoshop. Right? Yeah. That early version of Adobe that I was using, CS3, that was not a legal copy. And I used it for years. But yeah, there you go. I mean, 2007 it came out, I think. Let me check. Adobe CS3 2007. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, I used it for a long time. But it had this awesome, like, brutal editing thing that I just absolutely loved, and I couldn't find any software for years and years that would do it. In that it would do the auto levelly thing that I now use multiband compression for in Premiere Pro, but nobody else did it for ages and ages, and it would just trim high waves and raise low waves till it was all like a nice stable sound, which was great for like podcasting that I did for years and years and that sort of thing. Also, it had the best like telephone sound effect that you could lay over, and it sounded just like an old phone. It was great for that. Now you have to use different plugins and set settings just to make it sound like it's on a phone. Just let me click a button and make it sound like it's on a phone. Anyway, whatever. Adobe, they are bastards.
Even the downfall of my father's grey hairs.
$30 a month, and I have to do half the things I want to do manually.
Due to overwork and want of sleep, and that either by drugs or rest it would be possible to recover my energies. All I could think clearly was that the thing had to be carried through. The fixed idea still ruled me. And
Stickity Snick, I used to use Inkscape and GIMP instead of Adobe. Right, there you go. I'm unfamiliar with those programs. Since they're free, yeah, right. Yep. There was something that I played with. There was one, is it that one there? DaVinci Resolve, that a friend tried to get me into, and I started playing with it a little bit. but I'm far too used to Premiere Pro. I'm sure I could get used to it. He actually suggested that I use it for. I was for a while. I was playing with the idea of trying to make VR versions of my audiobooks, so you could plug into VR and say I haven't recorded it yet, but I intend to do The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, Nevermore, right? And have you in the room, and as things happen, the VR would do stuff. And he said DaVinci Resolve was really good for that. He's a VR game developer guy. But I couldn't get the hang of it. But I've still got it there to play with. And instead of Photoshop, we use Krita, which is okay. It's okay. Ooh, look. Oh no. What's that there? Adobe Fireworks CS3. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's a brutal old thing, but I used to use it for thumbnails. I don't use it anymore. I don't know why it's still there. But I mean, generally I do that stuff on my laptop rather than my main computer anyway, which doesn't have any of the CS3 stuff. But there you go. That shows how recently I used to use that. Now I use Critter, which is free and not bad. Not bad. I just got very used to using Fireworks to make my thumbnails. That's all.
Still ruled me. And soon, through the fixed idea still ruled me. And soon.
Fireworks used to be Macromedia 2, right? I'm not sure. I never did a lot of image editing until I started making audiobooks and had to make thumbnails for YouTube. Yeah, this is really my first foray into making any sort of visual art.
Still ruled me. And soon, for the money I had, was almost exhausted. I looked about me at the hillside with children playing.
I've done a lot of video stuff. I love filming, editing video. That's good.
An invisible man would have in the world. After a time, I crawled home.
I did when we were in Japan. We did went on a big holiday up to Hokkaido, where I saw real snow for the first time in my life. Amazing, and got a shitty GoPro Hero Black, which worked well in the snow, but doesn't work very well outside of the snow. It overheats too quickly, but it gave good, 4K footage and that sort of stuff, and Premiere Pro was good at editing 4K things, and that laptop was powerful enough to do it. And I filmed days and days and days of cool stuff and edited together like an hour-long movie of our trip to Hokkaido that was actually pretty cool, and I really enjoyed it. And then I accidentally deleted the YouTube channel that it was stored on one day and asked Google, can you get it back? And they said, no, sorry. So it's gone. And I didn't keep a hard copy of it everywhere. I keep hard copies of everything. Right next to me, plugged into this computer, I have a 16 terabyte external hard drive that's just for storing hard copies of edits and audiobooks and all that sort of stuff. I have radio plays that I did, oh my God, last century, I think, all stored there, but I didn't store that thing that I spent weeks editing. Anyway, ever play with Cyberlink stuffs? No, I don't know much about that. Forget the name of it. Sniggly Snick, I grew up skiing. That's funny. Yeah, man, I grew up in Australia. We had frost on our lawns some mornings on really cold winter's days. I didn't see snow until I was like 48 years old. And then it was jumping right in the deep end. There's like shoulder-high snowdrifts, just on the roads in Hokkaido. It was amazing. Amazing. I absolutely loved it. And then I'd be talking to Japanese people and describing a land that's just flat, because Japan is all mountains and hot, and there was no snow and no rainy season. They were just like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. No, Japan was amazing. Australia is just what I grew up with. Anyway, we all get sort of bored with what we grew up with, don't we, after a while? and want to see something else, travel is good. They always say, travel broadens the mind. You should travel as much as you can. When I was young, I couldn't afford to bloody travel. Traveling to Japan, ridiculous. I couldn't afford that. We could only afford that when I was older because Alice got a job teaching English, and the government paid for, all of her travel stuff and put us up in a little flat that we had to pay a tiny amount of rent. Like it was $40 a month rent. Crazy, And yeah, so they basically paid for us to go to Japan and live there for 2 years. It was amazing. Anyway.
Advantages an invisible man would have in the world.
It's just ridiculous that you say to young people, oh, you should go and travel, see other places. They can't afford it, mate. What are we all, 80s rich kids, I'm going to take daddy's credit card and travel to Turkey or something. I don't know. That was my crappy American accent. I'm not very good at it. Yeah. Wait till you hear The Great Gatsby, man. It's all American. Start to finish. I think every character is American. I don't know. I hope it's good. I don't know.
Would have in the world. After a time, I crawled home, took some food and a strong dose of strychnine, and went to sleep. In my clothes on my unmade bed. Strychnine is a grand tonic, Kemp, to keep the. After a time, I crawled home. An invisible man would have in the world. I looked about me at the hillside, with children playing, and after a time I crawled. After a time I crawled home, took some food and a strong dose of strychnine, and went to sleep in my clothes on my unmade bed. Strychnine is a grand tonic, Kemp, to take the flabbiness out of a man. Take the flabbiness out of a man. It's the devil, said Kemp.
Shall we look up strychnine and see just how bad it was? Because it was terrible, and he's just like, hey, I'll just take it. It's a highly toxic, colorless, bitter, crystalline alkaloid poison derived from plants of the genus Strychnos, most notably the Strychnos nux vomica tree. It acts as a neurotoxin. And he's like, yeah, I just take some strychnine. It really perks me up. Okay, buddy. Okay, no problem. This is when, cocaine was in everything, so who knows?
It's the devil, said Kemp. It's the man. It's the devil, said Kemp. It's the Paleolithic in a bottle. I awoke vast.
Jigglypuff 2807 just wanted to drop in and say I really love your work. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. You can see how boring this part of the job is. Yeah. We've been doing this for quite a while, and we're 10 minutes into the edit. Because I clutch at every possible distraction from every comment that you chaps throw up. And let's talk about something else. Let's do anything other than this incredibly boring job for a while.
It's the Paleolithic in a bottle. I awoke vastly invigorated and rather irritable,
Half breath there.
In a bottle. I awoke vastly invigorated and rather irritable, I know the stuff. Irritable, I know the stuff. I know the stuff.
Keep it up.
Rather irritable, I know the stuff. And there was someone rapping at the. No, I know the stuff. And there was someone rapping at the door. It was my lad.
Little bit more of a go.
Vastly invigorated and rather irritable, I know the stuff. And there was someone rapping at the door. It was my landlord, with threats and inquiries, an old Polish Jew in a long grey coat and greasy slippers. I had been tormenting a cat in the night, he was sure. The old woman's tongue had been busy. He insisted on knowing all about it. The laws in this country against vivisection were very severe. He might be liable. I denied the cat. Then the vibration of the little gas engine could be felt all over the house, he said. That was true, certainly. He edged round me.
Laws against vivisection at the time were amazing, not so much for what they were, uh, although they did even limit, like, doctors. You couldn't cut apart, dead bodies to see how they worked. It was amazing stuff. But it's the reason that there were all these laws against vivisection. Church doctrine at the time was damn sure that any damage that was done to your body would be left on the immortal soul after the resurrection and all of that sort of stuff. So you couldn't cut up people's bodies for fear that their God would be displeased. I think very weird, very weird. Jigglypuff, yeah, I'm aware of how tedious it can be. Was editing some voice lines for some of my own projects a while back, and it was a nightmare. Yes, it is. What were you doing? What were your projects? Kriog, so I am just evading doing the brakes on an old truck, trying to get the inspiration to play with that POS. Hey, you're using me as a distraction, just like I'm using you as a distraction. Excellent. Co-distracting. That's good. Is it good? We'll say it's good. Snickety Snick. That makes me think of Unit 731. Here we go again. Jumping on the Google. Unit 731. Officially known as the Mansion Department 731, also referred to as the Camo Department, and the Ishi Unit is a secret research facility operated by the Imperial Japanese Army between 1936 and 1945. Ooh, interesting. An American cover-up? Oh, my. Shush, Wikipedia. The occupying unit... Sorry, I'll try and do this in my shitty American accent. The occupying United States government undertook the selective cover-up of some Japanese war crimes after the end of World War II in Asia, granting political immunity to military personnel who had engaged in human experimentation. There was a lot of that in World War II. A lot. It is, if you ever want to feel really, really sad, take a look into some of the medical experimentation that went on by all sorts of people during World War II. And it brings up some very uncomfortable moral ideas on are we allowed to use that information that was basically garnered by torture of war prisoners, which you're supposed to treat nicely? You're supposed to be nice to your political prisoners, your war prisoners, but many, many people were not. And we continued to use their information to save lives. That's why it's such a moral quandary, Anyway, including live vivisection. Oh, no thank you. No thank you. I'll pass on that one. Yeah. Some of the scientists went on to found a pharmaceutical company. Of course they did. Yeah, there's a lot of that, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot. Humans were an odd mob.
Then the vibration of the little gas engine could be felt all over the house, he said. That was true, certainly. He edged round me into the room, peering about over his German silver spectacles, and a sudden dread came into my mind that he might carry away something of my secret. I tried to keep between him and the concentrating apparatus I had arranged, and that only made him more curious. What was I doing? What was I doing? Curious. What was I doing? Him more curious. What was I doing? Why was I always alone and secretive? Was it legal? Was it dangerous? I paid nothing but the usual rent.
Kriog, well, with no brakes, I just get there faster, right? Yeah, really, really fast sometimes. So, Cliff, that's fast, real fast.
The usual rent. He had always been a most... Was it legal? Was it dangerous? I paid... Why was I always alone and secretive? Was it legal? Was it legal? Was it legal? Was I always alone and secretive? Was it legal? Was it dangerous? I paid nothing but the usual rent. His had always been a most respectable house in a district of... in a disreputable neighborhood. House in a disreputable. It's been a most respectable house in a disreputable neighborhood. Suddenly, my temper gave way. I told him to get out.
Quick save. 11:24.
Out. He began to protest, to jabber of his right of entry. In a moment, I had him by the collar. Something ripped, and he went spinning out into his own passage. I slammed and locked the door and sat down quivering.
Oh, whoops. Jigglypuff, I was making mods for a video game called Skyrim. Hell yeah, love Skyrim. Contracted some voice actors to do some characters in it, and the process of polishing them and implementing them in-game was a process. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh my god. When I have done like multi-actor audiobooks and whatnot, I have ended up basically buying them Yeti Blue microphones that I used to use for all my recording, just so they all sort of sounded the same, and still some of them came back just sounding atrocious. So awful, you know? There has been some times when, like, honestly, with Dracula, right? The last super expensive, big cast, very difficult to make. I started editing that myself while Mache was editing some other books. I can't remember what, and I had intended to do that very slowly, over the course of a year or whatever, while he was editing other books. But I just had to give up and say, "Here, you do this," and it broke him. He basically quit after Dracula because it was such a hard job trying to make all these actors in different rooms, different states, using the same technology but in wildly different ways, trying to make them all sound right. And he did a great job, but I can't listen to it because it's just incredibly painful. And cost more than any other freaking audiobook I've ever made. It will never make its money back. It will never make its money back. It cost me like $4,000, $5,000, something like that. It cost me more than this damn computer that I'm editing on now to make that audiobook. Anyway, I hope people like it. I know a few do. But if we had a look at how much money it has made since I put it out, it would be nowhere near as much as I spent.
Something ripped, and he went spinning out into his own passage. I slammed and locked the door and sat down quivering.
Was it legal? Was it dangerous? What timing? Right? Yeah. Learning lessons I hope I don't need to find out. Quite right. Yeah.
He made outside, which I disregarded, and after a time he went away. But this brought matters. This brought matters to a crisis. I did not know what he would do, nor even what he had the powers to do. To move to fresh apartments would have meant delay. To move to fresh apartments would have meant delay.
What is that noise? Some of the stuff that comes out of my voice when I'm in the booth and trying to just read lines that just blow me away, man.
What he had the powers to do. To move to fresh apartments would have meant delay.
Mache did a big like a bloopers reel after editing Dracula, and most of it is just me making stupid noises like that and then going sorry, let's do that again. Yeah.
What he had the powers to do. To move to fresh apartments would have meant delay. I had barely £20 left in the world, for the most part in a bank, and I could not afford that. Vanish. It was irresistible. Then there would be an inquiry, the sacking of my room. At the thought of the possibility.
Ever find a fart? I have a very solid rule: no farting in the booth. It is a very small, small encased room. I hope this works for you. This webcam's a little bit dodgy. Can you see? There's my booth. It's like 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. And when those fabric doors are closed, it is completely enclosed and you are just fermenting in your own stench. So no farts. Burps, yes, absolutely. You swallow a lot of air when you're making big speeches and stuff like that, but no farts. No farts. Jigglypuff, my condolences. That sounds like an utter nightmare. Yeah, it was horrible. I suppose I'm thankful my standards aren't quite as high. I am very uptight about these things. I never want a listener to hear anything that I've done and go, "Ugh, that wasn't quite right." That would be hell to me. I want everything to sound as good as it could possibly be. I want people to hear my things and think it's come out of one of the big professional studios. You know, that's my goal all the time. Yeah. Was of the mindset of it just needs to exist for now. We can polish it later. Yeah, I've done a bit of that. If you ever want to hear what that sounds like in my work, go listen to Treasure Island. It was the first one I ever made, and I read quite a lot of it live on the air during a radio show I used to do. And you can hear, a lot of, we can polish it later, and then I sort of never did, because I went on and made other audiobooks instead. But yeah, it can be really tricky. What was the mod, by the way? If it involved voices and stuff, it must have been pretty big. My wife is a big Skyrim fan. She's played quite a lot. I like it, but I was more of a Fallout guy. I like sci-fi rather than fantasy. I burned out on fantasy when I was young. I read every fantasy book in the world, some of them like 12 times. So yeah, I prefer sci-fi now. Kriog, now I will have nightmares of the box. Claustrophobia. I couldn't even. Yeah. Totally. I am with you. I got locked in a car trunk when I was a kid and was left in there for what felt like, 17, 18 years. It was actually less than an hour, but I was locked in a trunk, and I'm pretty claustrophobic myself. Yeah. But as long as I know I can get out whenever I want to, I'm generally okay. So the booth it's all right. It's all right. Although I do have some difficulties setting up the new system now. It's tricky because I'm gonna need like the new. Sorry, I have to stand up for a second. My old back. And this terrible chair I'm in. Yeah, there's a little bit of a stand and a stretch. Sorry, you get to see my jumper. Anyway, the new tech that I've got is so much more complicated than the old stuff I have been using. It's a fancy new microphone with a little control board of its own. And I don't know how to set them up. There's not really room for them in the booth, but if I set them up just on a desk, then I won't have the booth to work in, so I'm sort of in a quandary at the moment. I don't know how I'm going to set up the new gear. I really need someone smarter than me who understands the technicalities of setting up an audio studio to give me some advice, but I don't really know anyone on the same level as myself. I know people much, much bigger than myself, and I know a lot of people much smaller than myself, but I don't really know anyone around my level who is as uptight as I am. Because I am obsessive about sound quality, but I don't know. I'm starting to think I might have to take the materials of that booth and try and build something that fits over my desk. I don't know. Egg carton the entire room. I have thought about it. I even started collecting egg cartons back in the day, but instead I ended up spending $1,000 on that booth, which has sound dampening blankets around a PVC pipe frame, basically. And it's very, very good. All the audio quality has taken a big jump since using it, but I don't know how much stuff I can fit in there, Yeah, anyway, Jigglypuff says, yeah, my mod was very inspired by some of the sci-fi aspects of the series. It's called Stargazer, was a simple go here, talk to X, do Y, get reward quest. Nothing too fancy since I'm still new. I'm also a huge Fallout fan, so kudos. Let's have a look. See if we can find it. Skyrim, what was it? Stargazer. Stargazer mod. There we go, look at that. Adult content. Oh my, does it have the boobies? Not that one! Not that one! Not that one! Oh no. Okay. This one. Assisting members of the Royal Imperial Man and Out Society. That one. No, not that one. Cool. Yes, this one. Okay, here we go. This mod tasks the player with assisting members of the Royal Imperial Men and Out Society, an organization that once was the sole Tamrielic pioneers of interplanetary travel, but they have since fallen on hard times, not that they'll admit it. To that end, they ask you to take care of a small problem involving a suspected cultist. Based on what? That's not important. Cult destroyed on paper sounds so much better than researcher finagled. This was a short mod I made as a way of teaching myself the creation kit. Very cool. It's fully voiced by several amazing voice actors. Funny, I don't recall myself being in it. I was not invited. You have amazing voice actors, and none of them are me? What? Yeah, no, cool. And it should take about 10 minutes to complete. Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well done. Well done. There are their images. Just one of a little thingy-bob there. Very cool. Excellent. Well done. Well done. Done better than I have. I've thought about mods, but I'm not a modder. I'm not a modding guy. I don't really understand software programming. I did a little bit in C Basic back on my old Commodore 64 in like 1986. I wrote a text-based adventure game, which was very high-tech at the time, and probably took about 3 minutes to finish or something. It was quite crap. But yeah, there we go. You can do as much. I'm crying. I was so scared. What mod did you make? Oh my god. Yeah, excellent. Clip it. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I've heard of that. People do clipping on live streams and stuff. I don't know. Is there a thing? How long have we been going? It doesn't even tell me. I don't even know. I don't know how to clip. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, this will tell me how long we've been going, I think. 1 hour 58, by God. Okay, so I'll write myself a little note. I'll see if I can find it later. There, around boobies mod. There we go. And I'll try and make a video of that. Very funny. Very funny. Excellent. Look at that. 2 hours of work and we've done 12 minutes of editing. Not at all due to the distractions. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
At the thought of the possibility of my exposed, or at the thought of my
Oh no.
At the thought of my
Most excellent.
being exposed, or at the thought of the possibility of my work being exposed, at the thought of the possibility of my work being sacking of my room, at the thought of the possibility of my work being exposed or interrupted at its very climax, I became very angry and active. I hurried out with my 3 books of notes, my checkbook, the tramp has them now, and directed them. The tramp has them now, and directed them. Book the tramp has them now. The tramp has them now, and book the tramp has them now, and directed them from the nearest post office to a house of call books of notes, my checkbook. The tramp has them now, and directed them from
That's
the
okay.
nearest post office to a house of call for letters and parcels in Great Portland Street. I tried to go out noiselessly. Coming in, I found my landlord
Jigglypuff, I'm going to head out now. Super happy I'll stop by. I'll try to catch the next one when it happens. Awesome. Thank you. We're very glad you stopped by too. Thank you. And good luck with your modding. Yes. Give me a yell in future if you're going to make something else. I'll happily lend my talents to that sort of thing. Yeah.
Portland Street. I tried to go out noiselessly. Coming in, I found my landlord.
YouTube Skyrim Poop 1 when you're not streaming. You know what? I'm not sure I will. Creog's heading off to the truck. Talk to you later. Thanks for sharing and thanks for the chat. Yes, good luck with the brakes. Yes, I'm not a mechanically minded person myself, but I know that can be a pain. I think I changed the brakes on one of my old motorbikes and decided never to do it again. Yeah.
I tried to go out noiselessly. Coming in, I found my landlord going quietly upstairs. He had heard the door close, I suppose. You would have laughed to see him jump aside on the upstairs. He had heard the door close, I suppose. You would have.
I quote them a lot. It's memes made with Skyrim footage. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, all right. I'll check that out. Skyrim Poop 1.
Upstairs. He had heard the door close, I suppose.
I'll have a look at that later. Watch it over lunch or something.
Tearing after him, he glared at me as I went by him, and I made the house quiver with the slamming of the door. I heard him come shuffling up to my floor, hesitate, and go down. I set to work upon my preparations forthwith.
I don't think that was much better than the one I did before. That was about the same.
As I came tearing and go down, I set to work upon my preparations forthwith. It was all.
They're usually lewd. Oh, I see. Like the wrong mod we almost accidentally looked at. Yes.
It was all done that evening and night. While I was still sitting under the sickly, drowsy influence of the drugs that decolorize blood, there came a repeated knocking at the door. Repeated knocking at the door. It ceased. Knocking at the door. It ceased. Footsteps went away. Door. It ceased. Footsteps. The door. It ceased. Footsteps went away and returned, and the knocking was resumed. There was an attempt to push something under the door, a blue paper. Then in a fit of irritation I rose and went and flung the door wide open. Now then, said I. It was my landlord. Now then, said I. It was my landlord, with a notice of it. Said I. It was my landlord, with a notice of ejectment or something. He held it out to me, saw something odd about my hands, I expect, and lifted his eyes to my face. For a moment he gaped. For a moment he gaped. Then he gave a sort of inarticulate cry, dropped candle and writ together and went blundering down the dropped candle and then he gave a sort of inarticulate cry, dropped candle and writ together and went candle and dropped candle.
Candle, nice hard vowel.
Dropped candle.
That should be easy to find.
Candle and
yeah, there we go.
Articulate cry, dropped candle and writ together and went blundering down the dark passage to the stairs. I shut the door, locked it, and went to the looking glass. Then I understood his terror. My face was white, like white stone, but it was all like white stone, but it was all horrible. My face was white, like white stone, all horrible. I had not expected the suffering. A night of racking anguish, sickness, and fainting. I set my teeth, though my skin was presently afire, all my body afire, but I lay there like grim death. I understood now how it was the cat had howled until I chloroformed it. Lucky it was I lived alone and untended in my room. There were times when I sobbed and groaned and talked, but I stuck to it. I became insensible and woke languid in the darkness. The pain had insensible and woke languid in the darkness. The pain had passed. I thought I was killing myself, and I did not care. I shall never forget that dawn, and the strange horror of seeing that my hands had become as clouded glass, and watching them grow clearer and thinner as the day went on, until at last I could see the sickly disorder of my room through them, though I closed my transparent eyelids. My limbs became...
Imagine that. You can't even shut your eyes. You close your eyes, but your eyelids are transparent. Does that mean there is no darkness for the Invisible Man? How does he sleep? Weird, right?
eyelids. My limbs became glassy, the bones and arteries faded, vanished, and the little white nerves went last. I gritted my... The bones vanished, and the little white nerve... The bones and arteries... My limbs became glassy, the bones... My limbs became glassy, the bones and arteries faded, vanished, and the little white nerves went last. I gritted my teeth and stayed there to the end. And the little white nerves went last. I gritted my teeth and stayed there to the end. At last only the dead tips of the fingernails remained, pallid and white, and the brown stain of some acid upon my fingers. I struggled up. The brown stain of some acid upon my fingers. I struggled up. At first I was as incapable as a swathed infant, stepping with limbs I could not see. I was weak and very hungry. I went and stared at nothing in my shaving glass. At nothing save where the attenuated pigment still remained. My shaving glass. At nothing in my shaving glass. At nothing save where the glass.
What is that click?
At nothing save where the attenuated pigment still remained
Weird.
behind the retina of my eyes, fainter than mist. I had to hang on to the table and still remained behind the retina of my eyes, fainter than mist. I had to hang on to the table and press my forehead against the glass. It was only by a frantic effort of will that I dragged myself back to the apparatus and completed the process. I slept. I slept during the forenoon, pulling the sheet over my eyes to shut out the light, and about midday I was awakened again by knocking. My strength had awakened again by knocking. My strength had returned. By knocking. My strength had returned. I sat up and listened and heard a whispering. I sprang to my feet.
Let's go there. 1556. That's a good save point.
My strength had returned. I sat up and listened and heard a whispering. I sprang to my feet and as noiselessly as possible began to detach the connections of my apparatus and to distribute it about the room so as to destroy the suggestions of its arrangement. Presently the knocking was renewed. Destroy the suggestions of its arrangement. Presently the knock. Destroy the suggestions of its arrangement. Presently the knocking was renewed and voices called first my landlord's and then two others. To gain time, I answered them. The invisible rag and pillow came to hand, and I opened the window and pitched them out and pitched them out onto the invisible rag and pillow came to hand, and I opened the window and pitched them out. Came to hand, and I opened the window and pitched them out onto the cistern cover. As the window opened, a heavy crash came at the door. Someone had charged it with the idea of smashing the lock, but the stout bolts I had screwed up some days before stopped him. That startled. I had screwed up some days before stopped him. That startled me. That startled me, made me angry. I began to tremble and do things hurriedly. I tossed together some loose paper, straw, packing paper, and so forth in the middle of the room and turned on the gas. Heavy blows began to rain upon the door. I could not find the matches. I beat my hands on the wall with rage. I turned down the gas again, stepped out. I turned down the gas again. I beat my hands on the wall with rage. I turned down the gas again, stepped out. I turned down the gas again, stepped out, and turned down the gas again, stepped out of the window on the cistern cover, very softly lowered the sash, and sat down, secure and invisible, but quivering with anger, to watch events. They split a panel, I saw, and in another moment they had broken away the staples of the bolts and stood in the open doorway. It was the landlord and his two stepsons, sturdy young men of 3 or 4 and 20. Behind them fluttered the old hag of a woman from downstairs. You may imagine their astonishment. Downstairs. You may imagine their astonishment You may imagine their astonishment. You may imagine their astonishment to find the room empty. One of the younger men rushed to the window at once, flung it up and stared out. His staring eyes and thick-lipped, bearded face came a foot from my face. I was half-minded to hit his silly countenance, but I arrested my doubled fist. He stared right through me. So did the others as they joined him. The old man went and peered under the bed, and then they all made a rush for the cupboard. They had to argue about it at length in Yiddish and Cockney English. They concluded I had not answered them, that their imagination had deceived them. A feeling of extraordinary elation took the place of my anger as I sat outside the window and watched these 4 people, for the old lady came in, glaring suspiciously about her like a cat, trying to understand the riddle of my behavior. The old man, so far as I could understand his patois, agreed that the old man, as I could understand his patois, agreed. The old man, so far as I could understand the old man behavior. The old man, the old man, the riddle of my behavior. The old man, so far as I could understand his patois. The old man, so far as I could. The old man, the old man, so far.
It's a tricky edit. See if this one works. If I can blend the F into the F, we'll be okay.
The old man, so far as I could understand his patois,
beautiful.
agreed with the old lady that I was a vivisectionist. The sons protested in garbled English that I was an electrician and appealed to the dynamos and radiators. They were all nervous about my arrival. Protested in garbled English that I was an electrician and appealed to the dynamos and radiators. They were all nervous about my arrival, though I found subsequently that they had bolted the front door. The old lady peered into the cupboard and under the bed, and one of the young men pushed up the register and had bolted the front door. The old lady bolted the front door. The old lady peered into the cupboard and under the bed, and one of the young men pushed up the register and stared up the chimney. One of my fellow lodgers, a costermonger who shared the opposite room with the butcher, appeared on the landing, and he was called in and told incoherent things. It occurred to me that the radiators, if they fell into the hands of some acute, well-educated person, would give me away too much, and watching my opportunity, I came into the room and tilted one of the little dynamos off its fellow on which it was standing, and smashed both apparatus. Then, while they were trying to explain the smash, I dodged out of the room and went softly downstairs. I went into one of the sitting rooms. I went softly downstairs. I went into one of the sitting rooms. I went into one of and went softly downstairs. I went into one of the sitting rooms and waited until they came down, still speculating and argumentative, all a little disappointed at finding no horrors, and all a little puzzled how they stood legally towards me. Then I slipped up again with a box of matches, fired my heap of paper and rubbish, put the chairs and bedding thereby, led the gas to the affair by means of an India rubber tube, and waving a farewell to the room, left it for the last time. For the last time. You fired the house. Left it for the last time. You fired the house. Last time. You fired the house. For the last time. You fired the house. You fired, exclaimed. You fired the house. You fired the house, exclaimed Kemp. Exclaimed Kemp. Fired the house. It was the only way to cover my trail, and no doubt it was insured. I slipped the bolts of the front door quietly and went out into the street. I was invisible, and I was only just beginning to realize the extraordinary advantage my invisibility gave me. My head was already teeming with plans of all the wild and wonderful things I now... My head was... My invisibility gave me. My head was already teeming with plans of all the wild and wonderful things I had now impunity to do. With plans of all the wild and wonderful things.
There we go. The master edit of chapter 20 is complete. Fantastic. All right. How long did that take us? With interruptions, about 2.5 hours for 20 minutes of editing. That's about right. That's about right. If I just powered through without chatting to the audience, probably, what degenerate distraction can I find on the internet to help Steve procrastinate? Too late, snickety stick! Too late. I've already finished. So this will be it. I'm going to go and have lunch now, and then probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then the day after. We'll come back and do the sound effects edit for this, which is actually going to be pretty boring, I think, because most of it's just him telling a story, isn't it?
The headless figure at the window, place that had once been...
Yeah, just sitting up. There's a little bit of walking around and stuff in the beginning, and that's about it. And the rest of it is just the room atmosphere and not a lot of sound editing. So that's going to be pretty boring and pretty quick. I think that would be a very short job. Next time we'll have a doozy. Yeah, you're going to have to line up the distractions if we're going to make the second video last any amount of time at all. So let's see if I can remember Is that right? I don't even know. Do I remember? Yes, I think that's right. Excellent. Good. So that should be it. Thank you very much for coming along and helping me procrastinate, distracting me from this incredibly boring work. It really does go faster when I've got people to chat with and all of that sort of stuff. So thank you. Thank you very much for coming along and helping me get through this. Master editing is always incredibly dull. It's the least fun part of this job. So we'll see you tomorrow or the day after or something like that, and we'll do the sound effects edit, which is always more fun, despite the fact that this particular chapter is not going to be particularly interesting. Excellent. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming along again, and we will see you next time. Bye.